Hey, we had Sir Richard Branson up in space, the race of the billionaires, Jeff Bezos, of course, being another one. What does this mean to us? Does this matter? Is space solely for the rich? Is it going to help our businesses, our economy? What's behind all of this and where are we going? That's exactly what I discussed this morning with Mr. Christopher Ryan. Let's find out how it's going to affect you and me.
You know, Richard Branson is in the news today, Sir Richard Branson to you, Craig, as he reached the outer space and was able to bring individuals up there. And in your view, is this going to be a thing where commercial space travel is going to be something that we see and have access to as, average Americans? To me, I feel like it's taken decades for even this type of space flight to take place. And I feel we are still so far away from an average Joe like you or I being able to afford to go into the areas almost into outer space.
Yeah, the black blue yonder, as it were. First of all, let's get something straight here. Sir Richard Branson made it almost to space.
Correct.
They were 80 kilometers up, 100 is generally considered. But where we're headed here is not really so much getting into space, which I think is totally cool. Where we're headed is being able to get up to those sorts of altitudes and then travel around the world. So we could see a trip from Boston to Tokyo taking just a few hours rather than taking the better part of a day.
Yeah, and very often when we see these types of things, I mentioned this earlier, it leads to thoughts of what else is possible. And you may look at this and be like, oh, okay, it's these fancy free billionaires trying to say they wanted outer space when they're actually in the area between the black and the blue and achieving levels of weightlessness, etc. But the time that travel took place and the propulsion of the flight indicates that higher speed travel is right around the corner, and to many that may be as attractive as the actual joyride aspect of it. You're going to be going at a greater speed. Some people, that's not going to be what they want. Maybe they'll be able to achieve an element within the aircraft in which people don't feel as though they're traveling at the speeds that they are. Certainly on this particular joyride, that is exactly what they wanted. They want to feel the propulsion, they want to feel the weightlessness, they want all those elements. As we know, most commercial airline folks don't want to feel like they're going 500 miles an hour. They want to feel relaxed during that environment.
Right. Well, and you've got the problem too of the sonic boom when you're lower in the atmosphere, going those higher speeds you don't hear. But I think what we're ultimately looking at is a whole change in where our speeds really getting into higher altitudes. And if we look at the history in the tech business, we remember when these flat screen TVs, oh my gosh, 48 inches, only $15,000. And of course, they'd never be achievable. We'd never be able to own those things. But people bought them, the people that had the money. Now you go to Walmart and you can buy one of those for $150. That's where this is all going. All of these people competing, the billionaires in space, they are funding the research and development for the types of flights you and I, Chris, will be able to afford. It's not going to be as expensive as the Concord was. It's not going to be cheap, but it is going to provide real high-speed travel, and I think that's a fantastic thing.
Yeah, now the 90-inch TV is something that is not out of the realm of possibility for individuals, creating basically their own movie theaters to view sporting events, political shows, and movies as they wish to in their home. And you're absolutely right. And as I mentioned before, this creates an environment where we start to think further about exploration and what is next. Very often people will look at what the current state of technology is and say, this is where we're going to be. What more could we possibly do? But to scientists and to inventors, it's always wondering what is next and what is possible, looking what the optimal is and trying to figure out a path to get to the optimal.
Yeah, and where we're looking right now, NASA's working on this, as are others, is having a space station in orbit that is designed for refueling and for trips. So if if Virgin can get you up into lower space, as it were, or one of these others, and then from there now you get onto another ship to go to Mars or maybe the moon colony. The biggest problem we have and the largest expenditure of fuel is getting to that point there, at that edge. So we're going to be able to see tourism in space that normal people could afford, and that's going to allow us to colonize other planets, which, of course, has been a wish of Elon Musk and many others for generations. What happens if we have another catastrophic event here that we had with the dinosaurs that wipes out everything? We're gone. But this is really the next step, and it's absolutely amazing. I'm so excited about what's ahead.
How far out do you think we are from that? Because you mentioned this has been a talk of generations now at this point in time, and decade after decade, even this type of space travel to lower space has been talked about, and commercial flights have been talked about for decades now at this point. I feel like we're still really far away from anything of that nature taking place, and I'd be surprised, to see colonization until the latter portion of my lifetime.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. However, as far as the moon goes, I think we will see stuff starting, but it's not going to be your regular person. As you had mentioned, it's going to be the scientists. It's going to be the real explorers who are going there. But the original plan for the moon launch in the 60s was to have a refueling station in orbit around the Earth. And that's been in the back of everybody's mind for a long time. I think that within the next 20 years, we will have that station up in space that is a, halfway point of view that you can go to, and from there continue on to the moon. And Elon Musk is really into Mars, and I don't know, he might just jump past everybody else with this massive rocket that he's building to truly colonize Mars. He's thinking he's going to be doing this. We asked him, and it's within the next year or two. But the scientists are saying within the next 5 years. Yeah. So we might be surprised because technology can jump just like that.
Yeah, and in conclusion here, I think that this goes to a broader message about where we are at as Americans. And we spend all this time fighting over the political scraps instead of having a vision towards the future and the things that we can achieve together as Americans. And whether it's disease, whether it's exploration underwater, into outer space, the new inventions. Like, we need to get back to a place where we're not focused on the little things that divide us as human beings, but focused on what we want to achieve and talking about that, and not figuring out which meme is the best to mock Trump or Biden, but to focus upon what is the mutual and shared goals of our society. And to me, this type of stuff, the talk about tech, the topic about inventions, the talk about what we could do, what we could optimize moving forward, that needs to be at the forefront. And that's what people are looking for in politicians, too. They want somebody that's going to say, this is what we want to do, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it.
I think we've got to move towards looking to that future, being excited about it, rather than having the parties digging up tribalism.
I agree. Craig, as always, thank you so much.
Take care.
Craig Peterson, host of Tech Talk on News Radio 610 and 96.7, Saturday and Sundays at 11:30.